today I am super excited. We have Crux in the house. Crux, I got to know through the movement performance art NFT community, and she is just amazing, multidisciplinary, just one of the hands down coolest people I have gotten to know in this space. Good morning. How are you really?
Hey Kelly, peace. I'm feeling good today. It's Saturday. I was like, what day of the week is it? It's Saturday. It's been a
Yeah,
lovely week, making some cool art, meeting some cool people, doing some new things. So I'm excited for this conversation.
amazing. Yeah, you kind of forget what day it is, and they just kind of merge into one because everything is so fast. Um, so I mean, yeah, happy to have you here. Sorry for the background noise. So let's just start with what's your story? Like, how did you get into this beautiful space, your beautiful self? Tell me everything.
Cool. Yeah. Well, my name is Ty, but I also go by Crooks. Crooks is my performative persona, and I refer to Ty as my community builder and Crooks as my multidisciplinary creatrix. So it's kind of like two halves of me. And I feel like it's becoming more evident because in a space from my recent drop, my one friend was like I've hung out with you in person all the time, but I never felt this energy. Like, where did this come from? So yeah, Crooks is, I think she has like a whole different energy to her. But yeah, I joined the space last year. My partner Stones, he entered the space in the beginning of 2021, and I didn't have a phone with service at that time, so I would just listen in to like the clubhouse rooms with him. And then once I got my own phone in April, I started listening on Clubhouse to like the NFT rooms, learning a little bit about crypto. And I was just always like not interested. Like I would sit there and I would be so bored and I would be like, why is this not connecting? Like what's missing? And I realized it was because there weren't any rooms that talked about the things that I was interested in, like healing, like movement, like performance art. So then, I just kind of took initiative and I started hosting rooms of my own. I started hosting movement meditation rooms. I started hosting movement rooms, like movement with an I, where I would
Yeah.
and I still host them. I would talk to different artists in the space and get to know them on a more personal and intimate level and hear about their craft and get to connect them with more people and women in dance NFTs because
Mhm.
it's so important in the space for women to have room, for women to be acknowledged and heard. So any effort we can make to create space for women, I feel is very important. Um, and yeah, that's how I got into NFTs. I minted my first dance collection in September on OpenSea. It was called Pigment and Pulse.
Mhm.
And it was basically a fusion of dance, music, and painting. So I would like have a
Yeah.
big canvas and I would use my body as the paintbrush, and then I would create a sound score to go with the video. I would record myself from like a bunch of different angles, and yeah, that was my first piece in Web3 and NFTs, and it was a really
Yeah.
cool way to kind of bring myself into the space.
I
Yeah.
saw that. I was mesmerized. Just for anyone who's watching who hasn't had a chance to peek into Crux's Twitter, her description is multidisciplinary creatrix teasing the boundaries of movement art, radically reclaiming sovereignty of mind, body, and spirit, wilted flower creator, healer, lover, sorceress. And I just like it tastes like candy to me when I'm reading it. Um, and yeah, just like going back to the very beginning of like how you got started, and also like your two, I guess, like alter egos. I love that you can just like flip between the two, because I do think like as a performer you need to have a very different like mindset and energy, like very personal and reflective of you, and then there's like the community side, which is very like outward, like outbound, you're like bringing other people in. So like I think that's just so beautiful. So yeah, like there's a lot to unpack here. You've had an amazing journey so far. Yeah, like you're one of the most active people and also most genuine. I feel like you hit a lot of fronts. So there's like the female energy part, which I really resonate with, and also like tying in different disciplines together. So, like, I want to talk a little bit more about that, starting with your Genesis collection, Pigment and Pulse. I know that you explained a little bit about what it kind of entailed and like what your process was. But like I'm curious to like why, where did this come from, like what's your background in terms of like performance art, and just like the further like artistic side of you, like how yeah.
Word, word. Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for the flowers. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that. And a little bit about my background. So I started dancing when I was 8. So it's been like a good 15 years. I began as like a competition dancer. And then I did that for about 5 years. And then in high school, I switched and I was, because it was just too expensive. So I was just on my high school dance team and I was dancing with a local company that was hip hop based. So I'm classically trained in ballet, African, tap, hip hop, jazz, contemporary, modern, musical theater, acrobatics. And I think that's about it. Um,
That's about it. That's like, ah, that's
I still
insane.
didn't get to do ballroom though.
That's
But
not too
yeah,
late.
you're right. You're absolutely right. So I love, like, I've always loved all forms of art, all forms of dance, and it can be kind of challenging, like dealing with things like imposter syndrome when you really do genuinely love all art forms and you want to do everything, but it's like, okay, let me chill, let me stay in my own lane, but like no, you
Mhm.
can give yourself permission to do it all. You just have to, follow through with it and really be determined about it. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's a little bit about a little bit about my background. And currently, I'm a freelance choreographer,
Wow.
performer, and teacher here in Philly. In December, I actually left my job that I had been working of 2 years as a marketing program and production manager for a local nonprofit dance company.
Mhm.
And I left to put all of that energy that I was putting into that company into my own art and my own collective. And what I'm doing now, like I'm really determined to bring healing and movement together and to make movement more accessible for people. Because in my own experience, even when I say like I'm a dancer, I feel like people kind of shy away. They're like, "Oh, that's cool. I don't dance though. Like I can't dance." But when I say, I feel like movement art is a more accessible term, a more universal term,
Mhm.
and it kind of invites people in more gently. So yeah, that's my mission, like making the healing properties of movement accessible to people, regardless of like your age, your background, how much dance experience you have, your upbringing, like regardless of any of that. I feel like movement is a very powerful tool that we can all tap into if we just give ourselves permission. And also, I'm currently the co-founder of Forbidden Fruit, which is my creative organization based here in Philly that I started with my partner Stones. And we're
Mhm.
driven by a mission to activate liberation and encourage and inspire artists to be themselves unapologetically and explore the art of expression and the expression of art in a space that's curated for them, like putting underrepresented artists at the forefront is like and bridging the gap between like arts here in the US and arts abroad, international. Because I've like
Mhm.
with Web3, you get to connect with people all over the world. And before our introduction to Web3, we were actually hosting virtual events where we got to meet people internationally. So like now it's like
Mhm.
even easier to connect with people internationally. And I would really love to keep going in that route because there's a lot of need for support and financial stability in the arts in other countries. So yeah, I feel like I kind of went on a tangent, but
Uh, all the time. Us like creators, artists, it's like you start here and then suddenly you're like, but that's where the magic comes in. And
yeah,
I'm so with you. Like everything you just said, so like like I just can't contain it. Um, I feel all of that just because like I say like I'm a dancer as well. Because like I'm in ballroom. Like I started with voguing. Like I did a few girls hip hop classes and whatever. But like I didn't have like a serious, like routine before that. And the reason that like movement was so beautiful is because I could just be so raw and not have to like voguing especially, you don't have to fixate on the particulars and like all the like technique, although it is great. um and same thing within the ballroom community, there's just so much like international synthesis, representing minority communities, of course, like all of that just is so aligned with what your mission is. And I really respect that you're like carrying that over into the Web3 space, in like a really, what should I like, really strong, like with a really strong foundation. So I can see this going on for a really long time and like growing into like beautiful healing empire. Which kind of, brings me to your next the means in which you achieve this. So things like your Twitter space movement. Um, like what other things in Web3 that you employ to like carry your vision out? Like apart from NFTs, like what are the cool things about the space that have allowed you to do this?
mm, yeah. Well, I guess I'll start by saying that like sovereignty is also a theme that's resonant in both my art and my life, and I feel like Web3, the emergence of Web3 is based on sovereignty. So that reflection in itself it's been inspiring to like really go for it and really be sovereign and really act in sovereign ways and really like rely on self and your own internal energy to really make things happen. Like that's one of the reasons I left my job, because I was like, I can do this by myself. And I
Yeah,
guess not by myself, you definitely need a team for sure. And you
yeah,
need
yeah.
other people with the things. But yeah, I'll say that right now the tools that I'm using or thinking about using and that I've seen help other people, like some friends of mine that I've met through Web3, they've used resources like crowd funds through Mirror,
Nice.
and it's helped them a lot to achieve, funding for the things that they desire to do. I've been looking into grants, Web3 grants, and of course, grants that already exist for dancers, for artists here in Philadelphia, to
Mhm.
help get the funds to do the things that I would like to do, because I would love to support artists and get them paid adequately. But I don't have that right now. So
Yeah.
working on these grants to get that funding. Twitter Spaces, of course, is a great way to connect with people, to hold space for people, to really expand community and do it in a really authentic and wholesome way. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, and the group chats on Twitter, those are also great resources to get help, to get feedback, to stay connected with folks.
Mhm.
Last night I was up late. I was getting acclimated with Discord. I am not Discord
Yes.
by any means, but I'm trying. I'm getting there.
Mhm.
Yeah, and what else? What else?
Like, are you part of
That's
any like Web3? Like, do you use any tools, or like what are the platforms that you mint on, and why? Like, I know that you recently minted on Glass. Like, can you tell me a little bit more about how you choose like the platforms and like, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I started out with OpenSea for that Genesis collection I was talking about earlier, and I did that because OpenSea offers the lazy minting feature where you don't have to pay
Mm,
for gas. So it was a really easy way for me to, dip my toes into the waters, and I feel like moving forward, even for people that we onboard into the space, finding more efficient ways for them to enter that aren't as cost heavy will be really great for them to be like, okay, I see what this is, and either
mm,
I like it or I don't. I'm going to continue or I'm not, without it costing them a lot. I used Zora heavy.
yeah.
Is, Zora is my, that's my baby because like just the way that they hold space for artists of all forms. Like if you go on Zora, you can see collectible projects, you can see music, musicians, you can see dance, like you can see visuals, videos, and even just audio, like people minting their songs on Zora. And they have like their file size limit is very, I think it's large. I won't say it's non-existent, but it's very large. So you can upload large files onto Zora, and that is important for me because so often we have to compress and dilute our work to fit onto these marketplaces. But with Zora, you don't
Mm,
have to do that. So that was the main reason um, I was on Zora. And Latasha is the community manager of Zora, so she's
yeah.
always out here representing for artists and really pushing for marginalized groups to get the support that they deserve. And I tried Glass this week actually because I wanted to try something new.
Mm,
And their gas costs on Glass are pretty low, so I was like, yes.
that's
But
amazing.
Glass yeah, Glass is really cool. So they're a newer platform. Not a lot of people have minted on Glass yet, but I really do think it will be the future. Somebody wrote a thread about my drop 222 this week, and they said Glass is going to be the next YouTube of Web3. So we'll
All
see. We'll see what
right.
happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
Glass, they have no file size limit. Um, they it's cool. What was really cool for me was to go onto Glass and to see the faces of people that I know and that I love in the community, like right on the homepage. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, so if you're like a filmmaker, a musician, a dancer, you can upload videos as long as you'd like them to be. I saw a video on there that was like 6 minutes long. So it's really cool in that aspect. Also, they have a type form that you have to submit before getting accepted. And the type form is really, really insightful and thought out. And it makes you sit down and think about your work and write out all the details. And it helps to prepare you for the drop in a really cool way. And they're also supportive and hands on. Like you get to talk to the founders. They held a Twitter
Oh,
space for me to drop, which I haven't seen done. I think Zora does that sometimes. But like, yeah, we had a Twitter space and I got to talk to people um, about the piece. And that was really special to me because it's like, wow, you guys really care and you really want to support and help this drop be successful. Yeah, and they only take 10%. And like I said, gas is rather cheap. I pay like $80. So I
wow.
don't know. I'm just saying, this is not financial advice, but glass is yeah, cool.
It sounds, crystal clear like glass. And oh, okay. I actually did not know. Like, I heard a lot about it being, the potential next YouTube of Web3, but that sounds amazing and exactly what artists need in the space. Like, just pure like visibility, and like, we're artists. Like, we need time to like think about our art and do this, do that. So if the platform is going to help the creators, like, yeah, that's definitely the future. Um, so yeah, like, thanks for sharing that piece of non-financial advice.
For sure.
um, like, I think so far everything you've we've discussed or like talked about the space has been actually like quite nuanced. Like I think more edging, like more leaning on positive. Um, like this is one thing that like I like to ask people who are already in the space, because I think a lot of non like I guess crypto pills or like non web threeers or people who are scared of technology are kind of scared. They're like cynical. They yeah, I guess they have some sort of trepidation. Like what, like if there's one thing that you could say scares you about the space, what would it be? And if like what is there a solution, do you think?
Oh yeah. Um, I would say okay, so the first one thing that scares me is that and let me not say scares me. Let me use a different word. One thing that I would like to remain aware about that is
Mm,
a reality of the space is that like the ecosystem is not necessarily as liquid or expansive as we would like it to be. Um, I feel like, with 222, with this drop this week,
mm,
Dio, who's one of the founders of Glass, started the party bid for me. And if he hadn't started that party bid, I don't know where we would be right now, honestly. So the only reason that 222 has a bid is because Dio started the party bid, and then 11 more folks joined in and pitched in and got the first bid to happen. Um, so I will say that like the ecosystem literally is us. Like we create the ecosystem, we power the ecosystem, and we are the ecosystem. Um, and
yeah,
without us, like the ecosystem doesn't evolve, it doesn't expand, it doesn't continue. Um, so it's like every action, every choice that we make on a day-to-day basis in Web3 is so important. Because, like I said, if Dio hadn't made that decision to start the party bid, 222 would probably not even have an auction going right now. So yeah, that's one thing that like, you know, you put out pieces and you put all this work into them, but they can sit for weeks, for months, and not get a bid. So I'm just like, what has to give for dance, for movement art, for performance art to be more seen and more respected and more visible in Web3? Um, and that's an open-ended question that has no answer, but I feel like our
yeah.
daily explorations are helping us to get closer to what that might look like. And I was talking about this yesterday. Like, I don't necessarily see myself onboarding a bunch of dancers right now because we don't have a steady ecosystem for ourselves. And I don't want to bring anybody into this and they don't have, they don't they put their money into it, they pay to mint, they pay to list, and then they don't see anything of it. So I feel like, once we start finding the collectors that really genuinely support dance and movement, like we'll be seeing some progress. And I feel like dance won't progress in Web3 unless we have allies that aren't dancers that are pushing just as hard for dance and movement as we are. Because sometimes I feel like I'm shouting into the black, like, with dance and movement, like people hear it and people see it, but do they fully support it? Not necessarily, not yet. And another thing that we have to stay aware of is the truth of the matter that masculine energy is the more dominant force in Web3, and though women might make up 50% of the population in Web3, we still like we still have to go so hard to be heard. And yeah, and it's rough that a lot of the platforms or the spaces or the projects that really get a lot of acknowledgement are led by men. So yeah,
Yeah.
I just hope that men, step forward, like masculine energy step forward and start to uplift feminine energies in the space because we need them as our allies, to really be, acknowledged. Yeah.
100%. Like we're out here like screaming, moving our bodies, like putting everything into it. And yeah, like I agree that is kind of the sad reality. Uh, to speak to, I guess, the points that you want to be more aware of. I have seen some positive initiatives taken, like at the moment, I would say the community is quite insular. Like we help each other out, and that's something that I think is so beautiful because in Web3, if we're not bringing each other up, we're never gonna, like, no individual is going to rise up. Like, so, but yeah, like definitely something to be aware of and something to motivate, like the community, to bring the community up. I I'm just gonna wrap like this up with a bit of like a fun section. So
Okay,
just a
cool.
question, do you have any NFTs? Like not movement or like anything, but like any cool artworks or like even avatars?
Yes, I do. So I'm happy that I can say this and like, wow, this, I'm just like, wow, I really be setting myself up for greatness. But so with 222, and it aligned with like the new moon and International Women's Month. So I decided to like, I'm just gonna be really honest. Like, so me releasing this first single in Web3 like this was a very energetic it was a very energetically demanding task for me. Like I said before, imposter syndrome is so real and like I never really gave myself permission to be a musician, like an all-out musician. So the NFTs that I've made before 222, all of them I produced like the sound score. So this was the first time that I actually put out a song that I was singing and rapping on. So
Wow.
now moving yeah, yeah. So now moving forward, even you reading my bio earlier, I was like, okay, I have to change it to teasing the boundaries of movement and music because, like, I have to keep speaking into existence that I am a movement artist and a musician now. And it's just so, it still baffles me. Like, me saying that makes it real, you know?
Mhm.
So I think moving forward, like, it's going to be both dance and music for me, and it kind of always has been, and I'm just now realizing excuse me, it kind of always has been and I'm just now realizing it. So I feel like with each one drop, and to kind of speak on the point earlier about the ecosystem, I would love to take initiative in expanding the ecosystem and bringing more liquidity into the people that are directly around me by bringing them along with these one drops. So like with 222, I had three feminine energies that I adore in the space create art to go with the piece. So it was like derivative art that came from 222, like two illustrations and one animation made by Jolia, Nia, and Tara Moves. So yeah, it's really cool. Those are still available on OpenSea, and I think I'm gonna switch them over to Rarible because of the things that happened with OpenSea this week, just to like stand with the people that were, wronged in this situation.
Mm.
But yeah, so those pieces are super cool, and I'm happy that it all came together so beautifully, and I'm definitely gonna continue doing that moving forward. Yeah, to just, bring people along and get more people paid. Like we have to use our
100%. Like, how can we keep up with your, beautiful artwork, what you're doing in the space? Like, where are the platforms that people can find your work and like your voice the most?
Yeah, I am mostly on Twitter. I'm on Instagram too, but Instagram is like no man's land right now. I don't know what's going on with Instagram. But yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. And you can also visit my website, Forbidden Fruit. I do offer group classes and private classes, both virtually and physically. So
Mhm.
if you visit my website, you can learn more about that. And yeah, on Twitter is the best place you can find me.
Gotcha. And from what we've discussed, maybe Discord, like maybe you'll become a Discord
Yeah.
diva in
Discord.
due time. Thank you so much, Crooks. It was just so like almost healing to like listen to you and talk to you. Um, Yeah, all the best.
Thank you, Kelly, and also giving you your flowers. This is an amazing initiative, and I'm so excited to see where it goes. And also, congratulations on your Genesis Vogue NFT. That was so, it
Thank
was so
you.
beautiful. No, it was so beautiful to see that on the blockchain. So yeah, thank you.